Hello, my name is Antonio Melendez, and this is my week 6 video. So this project was made by my group. You can see right here in Visual Studio, this is group 16. You can see that all my sensitive information is not showing up. I have here the .env file and the node modules. Okay, so when we go to GitHub, for example, we can see that that information, the sensitive information, is not present. All right, if we go back to Visual Studio, you're also going to see that we have here all these tests, okay, that we can run for the comments, newsletters, patients, and practitioners. These are the collections that we have. So I'm going to run these tests. Okay, and you can see that they all passed. We have 4 tests and 22 passed. That's because each one has more than one test. Okay. Okay, you can see here the newsletters, the patients. It's pretty much the same code, and we created these different tests for the get all, and for other ones. Okay, you can see right here some tests, the information for the tests. So this is working. Okay. So now we're going to go to render, and you can see that I'm logged out. You can also see that this is a published link. It's not a local host. And so if we go to API docs, we can see that Swagger is present. And let's try to do something. For example, here in patients, I'm going to execute and get them all. Now all this is working in my database. I cannot show my database because the MongoDB account belongs to another person in my group, and he used his personal account, so I can't show that, but it is working. Okay. Let's try to create one of these here. Okay, we execute, and it says you do not have access. Okay, error 401. If we try to update one, I'm gonna put here the ID, and we execute. Again, we don't have access. Okay, so that's in patients. Let's do the same thing for practitioners. So here we get all these practitioners, and let's take an ID. And let's try to make a practitioner. We execute, and once again, we don't have access. Let's try to update a practitioner. We execute, and we don't have access. Error 401. Okay, so we can see that practitioners is working. Now let's go to newsletters. We execute, and again, we don't have access. Let's go to create a newsletter. I'm gonna put in this ID just to show the functionality of this. You don't have access. So you can see that I'm logged out, so I don't have access to all these things. Okay, finally, let's go to the comments section, and we execute. Again, we don't have access. And let's try to update one. And we execute. And we don't have access, okay? So let's log in. And you can see that it says logged in as me, Antonio Melendez. So now that we're logged in, we can go back to Swagger and we can perform all these tests, okay? Let's go to patients first and we execute. And so we get our complete database, okay? We can see that the last one is Juan Wilson. Let's get the ID for Juan. Oops. Okay, let's clear this out. Close it. So let's make a patient, okay? I'm just gonna put here. Oh, sorry. Try it out. Peter Parker. 2010. Let's put here Peter. I'm gonna leave the same address, same phone number. Actually, I want to show something first. Okay, let's execute. And you can see that we get all these messages. We get an error 400 and it says, please provide a full name. You know, the date should be like this. The email address is incorrect. So we get all these messages that tell us that we're not doing things correctly, okay? So now let's provide correct information. Let's put here 2010. Let's just put something like 123 in New York. Zip code, I don't know New York zip code, but something like this should be fine. Phone number, an insurer, I don't know, Spider. And the request. Oops. Help me, something like that. Okay. So now we execute. Oh, and we get please enter a message of 15 characters. So let's put help me. I need reinforcements. I think that's no. I'm just gonna put I need help fighting some bad guys. Okay, let's execute here. And we can see that we have everything has been created, everything is fine, okay? Now let's check out the get all so we can see if our database is working. And at the very bottom, we're gonna see the Peter Parker patient, okay? I'm gonna copy this ID and let's get this right here. Now I'm going to erase the E and execute, and we get an error that says please enter a valid ID of 24 characters. Okay, so here let's put a 7 now, and we get a different message that says that there's no patients with that ID. Okay, let's execute, and we get our Peter Parker patient. Okay, so getting by ID is working. Now let's update this. Let's update it to something like this. Okay, I want to show validation. Okay, something like this. Let's execute. And again, we get all these messages. We get an error 400, and we get all these messages telling us that our information is incorrect. So let's change all this to Peter Parker. Let's put here 2015, and Parker at example.com. In street, we're going to put something like this: city, New York City. So we're gonna see the change here. There's a different zip code, a phone number, insurer, national, and the request can be, I don't know, something like, I am the real Spider-Man and I don't need any help fighting bad guys. Okay, let's execute, and we can see that everything worked correctly. Let's quickly just check in our get all. Let's execute, and we can see at the very bottom Peter Parker, and all the changes have been made. Okay, so everything is working. Finally, let's delete this patient. Execute, and we can see that the patient has been deleted successfully. Just really quickly, I want to show this right here. In validation, we can see that we need 24 characters, and if we change this to a 7, we're gonna see a different message that says that this ID does not exist. Okay, but the deletion has been made. Let's go to the get all and execute. Oh, this is practitioners, I'm sorry. Let's execute here, and at the very bottom we're gonna see that Peter Parker or Peter Parker are not there anymore. Okay, so patients is working correctly. Now let's go to practitioners. We have get all, and we can see that it's working. Okay, we get all the information and all the different practitioners. Okay, now let's create a new practitioner. Basically, it's the same thing. I'm going to make a bad example of a practitioner so we can get all the different messages. Okay, and let's erase this here. So we execute, we get an error, and we get all these messages, okay, suggesting that we have to provide correct information. So validation is working, error handling is working. Now let's make a new practitioner. Let's put, I don't know, Dr. Fleming. He's just a general doctor. I think this has to be something like this. The address is gonna be 425 Elm Street. That's a famous street right there. We're gonna make him live in Sandy, and the zip code is gonna be something like this. Phone number, something like this, and let's change the email really quickly to Fleming. Okay, let's execute and see if everything works correctly. Oh, we have to, the EA number has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 digits and 2 letters. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think something like this. Yeah. And our phone number must have, yeah, 1 more digit here. So now let's execute and see if this works. And it seems like everything worked. Okay. So we're doing good so far in practitioners. Let's go to the get all and check if our practitioner, Dr. Fleming, is here at the bottom. And yes, here he is. So we're gonna get his ID and try to get just this record here. I'm going to erase the F and execute. We get a message, an error 400 that says that we have to have 24 characters. I'm going to put a 7 here and execute, and we get a different message. There's no doctor with this ID. We put in the correct ID and we execute, and we do get Dr. Fleming there. Okay, so everything is working. Now let's update Dr. Fleming. Let's try it out. Put in the correct ID. Let's erase this information. I want to show validation here. Something like this. Okay, let's execute. Again, we get an error 400 and all these messages telling us what kind of information we need. Okay, so validation is working. Now let's try to fix this. Let's put James Bond. That would be an interesting doctor, and again, he will be a general doctor. I don't know. Let's put in. Let's complete this with a city. It's gonna be London, and the zip code, something like this. The phone number has to have another digit, and let's put something here like Bond at medical.com. Okay, let's execute, and it seems like everything worked correctly. Let's go check out our get all for practitioners. Okay, we can see at the bottom that James Bond is here, so it has been updated. Everything is working correctly. Let's erase the practitioner. Let's erase the F, and we get an error 400. Let's put the F back in and change this to a 7. And we can see that we don't have this ID does not exist. We execute correctly and the practitioner has been deleted successfully. Okay, let's go to the get all and execute, and we can see at the very bottom that James Bond is not there anymore. So practitioners is working correctly. Okay, now let's check newsletters. Once again, we do the same thing. We get all the newsletters. So our database is there. Let's create a new one. Let's show validation here. And we can see that we get an error 400 and the information, the messages that tell you to provide a full name and a correct email address. Okay. So here in newsletter, I'm just going to put again Peter Parker and Peter at I am not spiderman.com. Okay, let's execute, and this is working. Let's go to our get all and execute, and we see at the very bottom the Peter Parker. Okay, so we clear this, and actually let me execute again so I can get the ID for Peter Parker. This is Peter's ID. Let's clear this, and let's get the newsletter by ID. Okay, so we get an error 400 and validation says that it must have 24 characters. Let's put a 7 here, and we see that it's also working, but now we get a different message that says that we need a different ID. That ID does not exist. So let's put in the correct ID, and we get the Peter Parker newsletter. Okay, so that's working. Now let's update this really quickly. Try it out. Let's mess this up a little bit and execute. We can see here an error 400 again, messages telling us that the information is incorrect. So let's put here in name Peter Porker, and his email will be Porker at I am the real spiderman.com. Okay, let's execute this, and everything is working correctly. We have success, and let's check the get all. Okay, we can see here at the bottom that Peter Parker is not there anymore, but Peter Porker is there. So it is working. Let's erase this now. Let's put in the ID. Let's mess it up, and we get an error 400 telling us that the ID is incorrect. It must have 24 characters, and if we change this to an 8 and execute, it will tell us a different message telling us that the ID does not exist. So we put in the 6, the ID is correct, and we get a message that says the subscriber has been deleted successfully, the newsletter subscriber. Okay, let's check in the get all, and if we go to the bottom, we can see that it's not there anymore. So database is working correctly for newsletters. Okay, and now we just have to check the comments. I'm sorry if this video is taking a long time. There's just a lot of stuff that I have to show. So we can see here all the comments. Okay, we clear that up, and let's make a new comment. Let's mess up some of these things here. And execute. We get an error 400 and validation telling us to provide correct information. Okay, so now let's provide that correct information. Let's put Peter. Sorry, I like Spider-Man. It's my second favorite superhero. Actually, in username, I'm going to put Spider-Man. Batman is my favorite superhero. I'm going to put spider@gmail.com. Let's change it up a little bit. And in comment, I am not Spider-Man. Do not call me. Something like this. I don't know. Let's execute, and we see that this is working correctly. If we go back to the get all and execute, we're going to see Peter at the very bottom. Okay, let's take this ID so we can show the rest of the stuff. Let's clear this, and now let's get by ID. Let's erase that one and execute, and we get a message that says, you know, this ID is incorrect. It must have 24 characters. We then erase this and put a different number, and it will tell us that the ID does not exist. But if we put in the correct ID and execute, we're gonna get the correct information, okay? We're gonna get the comment that we're looking for. Okay, so that's working. Now let's see if we can update it. Okay, if we put in the correct ID and mess some of these things up, we should see the validation messages and the errors. And we do. Okay, there's the error 400 and all the messages telling us to change the information. It's not valid or correct. So now let's just put Porker, or actually let's put Bruce, username Wayne, email batman@gmail.com, and the comment, of course, I am Batman. Let's execute, and please provide a comment with 15 characters. So I am Batman. I am a real superhero. I think that's 15 characters. Yeah, that's good. So let's check if this is updated, and we can see at the bottom that it is. Okay, so we're doing good. Let's clear this out, and let's see if we can delete this comment. Okay, we get a message here that says that the ID is not valid. And really quickly, we get another message here that says the ID does not exist. And if we put in the correct ID, then we get another message that says that the comment has been deleted successfully. Now let's just check it out here and go to the bottom, and we can see that it's not there anymore. So everything in comments is also working. Again, I cannot show this on Mongo because the database is the database of one of the guys in my team. Okay, it's his personal database. But here in Visual Studio, we can see that the connection to the database is made correctly and everything is working fine. Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry this took such a long time, but have a wonderful week.